That's why I think that.
Yes.
It's what we got
Then
from the
please
treatment center.
remember to tell Tenmyoji where we intend to meet and when.
Okay.
You must also remember to bring Quark with you. I am concerned about removing him from the pod, but it can't be helped. Without Quark's bracelet, Sigma and Tenmyoji will be unable to open the secondary door.
Right.
Good. Looks like we got all that straightened out. Let's go.
The final nod to one another, we split up, each team heading in a different direction. Oh, that's a very good point, Nutella. Though I suppose in the large scheme of things, just because our character doesn't know, doesn't mean we can't, like, go through it and do it. But yeah, I think the only one that knows this at the point is Clover. Because she was like, can I hold on to it? It's probably nothing. I just want to hold on to it, okay?
No, this is the prep room. There are 2 levels. The actual pressure exchange chamber's downstairs.
How do you know that?
Alice told me. She was one of the people who investigated this room.
Did you talk to her when we were waiting for us back in the warehouse?
Yeah.
Well, let's head downstairs then.
Good idea.
Yeah, Fi pays attention and tries to get, like, information as soon as possible. She's the most reliable person here. So, this is the real thing.
Seems like it.
Why do they have something like this here?
Well, this is just what Alice told me, but...
Apparently, the pressure inside the facility was a lot higher than the pressure outside. This was part of the system designed to keep the virus from getting in. Okay, in my head, I was having that make sense. Because there's not enough room, the particles are closer together, so it can't get in. Okay. Took me a second. It did mean, however, that we'd need to go through a decompression process in order to get outside. I
Remember
really
all those
hope I
suits
find
along
some.
the wall of the prep room?
I feel like I had some cough drops somewhere, but now I don't know where they are. My throat's getting a little dry and scratchy. Remember all those suits along the thing?
Those keep you from getting infected. We won't even be able to enter the pressure exchange chamber if we don't have them on.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that seems pretty likely.
So the air out there is teeming with Radical 6? Probably.
Yeah.
Something's been bothering me.
What is it?
Aren't you saying that if we put on those suits, we can go into the pressure exchange chamber and go outside, right?
Yeah.
Oh. No, we can't do that.
Because it doesn't go outside.
The door beyond the pressure exchange chamber is locked up tight.
Just one door between us and freedom.
Well, if you look at it that way, it's the same as the number 9 door.
Good point.
Whatever. We need to be focusing on finding that Accelavir. Quark needs it.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll go look around upstairs. You two take this floor, all right?
Okay.
Okay.
Which team went into the room that had the Accelavir? It must have been Dio's team, I think. Looked everywhere we could think of, but turned out nothing. Eventually, I couldn't keep my mouth shut any longer. Hey, what do you think the deal is with this stuff about the world being infested with some crazy virus? Pandemic seems like it would make the news, but I don't remember hearing anything. You mentioned it, didn't you? Back when Dio was asking questions? We were in the infirmary. It was right after Quark lost it.
Have any of you guys heard anything about any sort of viral pandemic?
Well, no. But...
And then Alice said...
I have heard rumors about a virus being used as a bioweapon.
So, what's the rumor she was talking about? I get the feeling that you and Alice were talking about the same thing. Clover! What do you know? Come on! What are you and Alice hiding? Come on! I heard you guys belong to some sort of organization, but what is it? Come on! Clover was quiet for a long time. She bit her thumbnail and looked down at the floor. Then, finally, she lifted her head and met my eyes.
Fine, I think I can trust you. Just don't tell Alice, okay? Promise?
Whatever the Boy Scout thing, I don't know. Clover nodded and began to talk. Please be voice acted. I listened with rapt attention, at a complete loss for words. Here's what she said. Hold on. We can get through this chat. Alice and I are agents of the SOIS, which is under the jurisdiction of the Department of Defense. SOIS stands for Special Office of Internal Security, and we are an elite intelligence division that investigates potentially disruptive and dangerous elements such as domestic or foreign terrorists, radical political splinter groups, and religious organizations with extreme agendas that could pose a threat to the state or citizenry. Oh, dude, well done, Joy. Our existence hasn't been made public, so there are only a few people who even know we exist. You're probably wondering how I even got involved in something like that, huh? Not really. Well, it started when I met Alice. I told you I played the non-re game before, right? Well, this was after the second time, so about a year ago. We just escaped, and we were all stuffed in this SUV, barreling across the desert. I was driving, and that's when I saw her. Alice. She was standing next to the road with her thumb out. She was already working for SOIS, and she'd been on her way to the building and been trapped in as part of her investigation. But on the way there her car had broken down. We offered to give a ride. After she got in, we started talking, and it turned out that Alice had gotten a tip that the terrorists she was after were in the building we were trapped in, because she would divulge that information to the first people that picked her up in the middle of the desert, because she's very, very tactful. We couldn't see how us playing the non-re game had anything to do with terrorists, but Alice had a suggestion. Maybe the two people who trapped you in there are the terrorists. That didn't seem very likely to us, but we were chasing after them anyway, so we decided to bring Alice with us. Unfortunately, we didn't find them. As far as we know, they're still out there now, on the run. Anyway, we were taken back to SOIS headquarters and put in custody. I guess they thought there had to be some kind of connection between us being kidnapped and the terrorist group they were investigating. Whew. But they must not have found anything, because after a few days of questioning, they let us go. We all went home and returned to our lives. Is this from 999? Yeah, it is. Good catch. But things didn't go back to the way they'd been. My mom got real worried about me and my brother since we'd gotten kidnapped twice now, so she hired bodyguards for us. Oh, I haven't told you about my brother, have I? He's super awesome, for one. And he was both of the last two non-re games, too. So anyway, we've been grabbed twice, but the people beyond the two non-re games were totally different. That didn't matter to my mom, though. So after all those huge men in black suits followed me and my brother everywhere, it was awful. We were always being watched. People would look at us funny because we were being followed around by a bunch of creepy-looking guys. I couldn't stand it. Just when I thought I'd finally be free, all that was waiting for me was another kind of prison. The only time I was really happy was when I was hanging out with my brother. So we were talking it over one day and we decided to leave. Like, run away. So we did it. After that, we lived on our own. I worked in a cafe, he composed music, he plays the harp, and he started writing this kind of new agey music. It's kind of popular, so we didn't have worried too much about surviving. Sometimes he'd play at little venues like coffee houses and stuff, and his fans would show up and listen to him play and cry. Or some of them would meet on their own and recite stuff from the book he'd written and play his songs. I know that sounds kind of like weird and culty, but they just do that stuff on their own, okay? My brother doesn't have anything to do with it. It's a fanboy. It's fine. Anyway, we did that for a while, and then one day Alice showed up. I need your help. Come with us. We need people who can do what you can do. So we went to the location she gave us, and it turned out to be the headquarters of SOIS, where they'd taken us after the second non-re game. They put us in a room with about a dozen or so other people who were all about the same age as us. A bunch of them looked familiar, too. It only took a moment to realize how we knew each other. They were the kids from the first non-re game. We were all excited to see each other again, and we were hugging and shaking hands and stuff, and then Alice walked in. The whole room went quiet. She went up to the podium and looked around the room, making eye contact with each of us. Right now, a terrorist organization is preparing for a major attack. They plan to trigger a viral pandemic. If they succeed, they will strike a massive blow against all of humanity, not just any one country. It's possible that we as a species will die out completely. We're doing our best to prevent this, but we need your help. You are what we call espers. You have the ability to access the morphogenic field. We need that. I'm guessing you don't know what any of that is, but basically, we can do this thing that's kind of like telepathy. I mean, it isn't really telepathy, but it's probably the closest thing, okay? Espers can resonate their consciousness with another person through this thing called the morphogenic field, okay? Follow me. The purpose of the first Nutter game was to research that ability. So they kidnapped kids who had the potential to do it and then threw them into a game. Alice had gathered up all the kids from that experiment. Well, I mean, it had been 9 years since it happened, so we weren't really kids anymore. Anyway, everybody she'd brought in was an Esper. That included me and my brother, of course. I bet you think I'm just making all this up, huh? Go on. Crazy lady. I don't blame you. It is pretty crazy. I mean, I was even starting to forget I could do that stuff. So when I heard Alice's story, I was like, screw that. I was trying to move on with my life, and now some shady government creeps wanted me to use some weird ability I had for them? No way. I wasn't even sure I could do it anymore. Some of the others felt differently, though, and they told Alice they'd do it. It was a job, after all, and most people wouldn't turn away a salary like that. Oh, right, I forgot to tell you. She told us how much they'd pay us if we helped. It was a lot. More wealth than you can imagine. But I was still totally against it. So like $1 million a year? 2 million a year? 10 million a year? My brother told me he'd go along with whatever I decided, so I decided we were leaving. A couple days passed, and then Alice showed up at her apartment. She didn't waste time. The people behind the first Nunnery game might have been a part of the terrorist organization Alice and the Soys were after. Wasn't that, she asked, something that I might want to know more about? That got me curious, my brother too. But the cincher was when what Seven said to us. He was one of the guys that got abducted with us for the second Nunnery game. She called him on her phone right then and there and handed it to us. You guys are the only people who can do this. We don't know where Junpei is. He's gone off to travel the world looking for Akane. I haven't been able to get a hold of him. Please, just do me a favor and help Alice out. Junpei is, like Seven, another participant for the second Nunnery game. Akane, one of the people behind the second Nunnery game. Behind the Nunnery game. Okay. This was sort of unclear, but we still think so. We think Alice and Santa or Aoi were behind it. And we were pretty sure they were the bad guys. Huh. Seven was a Japanese policeman, which is probably how Alice got in touch with them. Anyway, that did it. My brother and I agreed to join the Soys. So, cool, Snake's there. For the next couple months, all we did was train. Half of the time it was general knowledge and technical skills and SYs needed, and the other half was learning to strengthen our Esper abilities. They'd actually known about Espers for quite a while, and had a lot of techniques that helped us get better and stronger. Okay, that's cool. After several months of hard work, we were finally ready for our first field missions. Mine was infiltration. My brother stayed at the base so I could relay information back through him. I was supposed to sneak in a research facility, posing as one of the workers, and then use the morphogenic field to transmit what I found back to my brother. But, oh, this is the first one that didn't even work. Everything went wrong. It's a trap! The whole research facility was a fake, and I got captured. Alice had to come and rescue me. I'd been sending information about the inside of the facility to my brother, and Alice used that information to come and find me. As soon as she got there, she picked me up and carried me out. Dude, that sucks. I was relieved and happy to be alive and free, but I also felt ashamed and miserable. While she was carrying me back, I started to cry. She was just so cool, and I wasn't. I wanted to be just like her. So from that day onward, I did everything I could to be more like Alice. Okay. Our infiltration ended in a failure, but we did manage to get something useful. In fact, we were able to figure out where their headquarters was. The directors decided that December 25th, 2028 would be the day we would strike. This time I promised myself we wouldn't screw it up. I was finally going to get some answers about something that had been with me for the most of my life. But then, on 22nd, 3 days before the raid, Alice and I were attacked by some people in gas masks. Some people. I thought so it's not just one person. Uh-huh. They do that before because they knew the thing was going to happen, or was it just random? And when you woke up, you were in the warehouse. All that talking seemed to have tired Clover out. She sighed and her long hair swayed as she moved. Hey, got a few questions.
What are they?
First, your powers. I'm guessing you can use them right now?
Yeah, I'm not really sure why. I've been sending my brother messages ever since I woke up, but...
No response?
Yeah, if there was another Esper here, they could make me stronger. But that's just wishful thinking. Wait.
What?
Well, if there's someone else who's stronger than me, then they kind of absorb my powers.
This is what we read?
Maybe... No, never mind. That's probably not it.
If that's how it works, wouldn't the first and second Nonary game have not worked super well? And wouldn't that also mean that Junpei is the strongest out of everybody that was in the 999? Huh. Okay. Other questions. Moving on. I think I understand what Alice was talking about. They were trying to spread that virus,
Yeah.
right? So who are they?
Well, I can't tell you that.
Why not? You told me all that other stuff, but this is too
Well,
much?
Alice would be mad at me.
I already told you I wouldn't tell her! Fine. Let me rephrase. When are they going to do
Well, if we knew that, we wouldn't have gone to all that trouble.
it? So you don't know.
No. All we know is soon.
It's like Blizzard soon, or is
Yeah.
this like
It could be next week or next
President's
month or
Plan
even next year.
soon? Because
Or it could
those are
have
two
happened
different kinds of
already.
soons. Yeah, Evie
Wouldn't
gets
that
the
make
joke.
the most sense?
Hashtag soon.
Like, how about this
Hashtag
one?
Blizzard soon.
Or that newspaper
It'll be done
And
soon.
the 3 people who were put in cold sleep.
Are you saying Yumi and Alice were frozen and then the pandemic happened while we were on ice? Makes sense. Okay, our person doesn't think that makes sense. Nobody else had heard of Radical
Maybe
6.
they're lying.
All 6 of them?
Well, if Kay really does have memory loss, then it's only 5. Quark is out too.
So you're saying Timmy OG, Dio, Phi, and Luna are all lying. They are a
Right.
little suspicious. But what's their motive?
For lying? How would I know?
Then what's the motive for a terrorist organization to start a
I
pandemic?
heard it was something about purifying the unclean?
Great.
Oh, unclean, 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 unclean.
What are you doing? Is it a
Shut
chant?
up. Just hold on a minute. I'm this close to remembering. Unclean, clean, een.
Een?
Neostigmine.
Oh.
Did you forget it already? I'm talking about this stuff.
As she spoke, she pulled something out of her pocket. I want to remind you guys, there's not really a pocket on her outfit. Yeah, no, and Sism, I know you're a little confused how she got neostigmine from unclean. It's like one of those. So, in a park, there are benches. Benches rhyme with the word wenches, which is what was used in the olden times to serve at bars. Bars are where they serve alcohol. Alcohol has the ability to make people stupid. Stupid people are, and they just keep going with that. It doesn't have a, it's just bad. It was in the safe of the treatment center, right?
Yeah,
I don't have any idea what it does though, so I gave it to you.
exactly.
Are you saying you heard about this
Yeah,
neostigmine stuff?
that's what I'm saying. I just remembered. My
Uh,
brother told me about that. Neostigmine is a type of colon esterase inhibitor.
there's that word that I couldn't read.
That means it's a sort of antidote for tubocurarine.
Sorry, but I still don't get it.
How easy do I have to make it? Ugh. Okay, fine. I'll start at the top, all right? The stuff I've got in here is neostigmine, which counteracts the muscle relaxant. Following me?
Yes. Tubocurarine is the poison in our bracelets, right?
It's the second thing we get injected with if we're penalized.
First, is this over real? Which puts you to sleep? 9 minutes later, the tubocurarine is injected, numbing your respiratory muscles. I guess you could say it'll really take your breath away.
Yes, it keeps it from working. Understand.
Yes! Oh my god, how many times are you going to make me say it?
So we can just inject ourselves with this if we get penalized? Exclamation mark, not question.
We don't have to die. We're gonna be okay. We can only pull the trigger once, though.
That means we can only use it on one person.
Yeah.
So who gets it? Still good news. This means that one of us can break the... Also, this is an ending music. Isn't it?
The best way to use it would be for sneaking through the number 9 door. If somebody gets 9 points, they can open it, right? With this stuff, somebody who doesn't have 9 points could still leave with them.
That's cool.
Anyway, I'm gonna go tell Alice.
What? Hey! Clover, wait! Clover! It was too late. Clover was already on the lift and gone. Dang it. I was, I think, understandably upset. With no stairs, my only choice was to wait for the lift to come back down. As soon as it was back, I jumped and headed upstairs. Rude. Fi, where'd Clover go? Fi, can you hear me? She didn't say anything. She just stared at me with her mouth half open. Her eyes seemed slightly glazed, and her body was unnaturally stiff. Fi? I grabbed her shoulder and shook her gently. Slowly, she raised an arm, fingers drooping limply from it. She gestured toward the exit that led the way from the warehouse. She went that there? Fi's only answer was a she has Radical 6 right now. Got it. Thanks. I headed for the exit, then paused. You look pretty tired. Get some rest, alright? No response. There was something odd about her, but catching Clover seemed like more of a priority. Turned back around and jogged at the door toward the treatment center. She gonna be crazy. That's the first time Fi's gonna be crazy. Dude, she's the one that if she got crazy, she could get very inventive on how to make sure everybody else no longer goes anywhere. Huh. And Quark's not missing this time, right? This is weird. Where is everybody? I'd assumed Alice would be in the treatment center, so Clover would have gone there to find her, but the room was empty. Moon and Tenmyoji were gone too. They'd left Quark, and the readout on his pod said his vitals were still normal. As far as I could tell, he was still asleep. Was a timer up? Like, how much time do we have left? I made my way to out of the treatment center. Is this where everybody turns into a zombie and they all kill us? It's like a B movie. Yep, this is all creepy. Super creepy. Okay. I'm a little lost now. I don't know where they went. I can't find anybody. Every room is empty. Wait. One place I haven't checked. The infirmary. I was gonna say the garden. We still haven't found the key to that tombstone, have we? I ran into the room and stopped short. I might as well have run into a brick wall. My chest tightened so much I could barely breathe. What happened? I felt my whole body convulse, whether from terror or from nausea, I couldn't tell. My legs went limp and I crumpled to the floor. Something sticky pressed against the palm of my hand. I looked down to see blood. A vast warm pool of fresh blood stretching out across the room, lapping at my legs and hands. Why is everybody dead in this one? Wait, Phi's there now too? Okay. So hold on. Okay, so the only one that's not there is K. Okay. Are bracelets missing? Bracelets are missing. Like an island of flesh were bodies. There were a tangle of lifeless limbs and dead eyes, with too much blood and chaos for me to tell who was who. Had they sliced themselves open or stabbed one another? I couldn't tell. All the blood. Whatever they'd done, it was clear that what tool they'd used to do it. The scalpel lay next to in the blood next to them, its handle streaked with gore. You came back at the right time? You must really like being just shown a bunch of dead people. That was how they died. This tiny blade. It's all over. It's all over, man. It's all over. This nightmare will finally be over. Time to wake up. My fingers scraped across the floor as I picked up the scalpel. I lifted it slowly, carefully to my neck as if someone were guiding my hand with theirs, and drew it across my throat. Ooh. Well, I think that was a bad end. I don't know if we could have done that better, though. So in this timeline, everybody except... Actually, even Cork. Kay wasn't there, though. Kay wasn't in that pile of mess. Is he protected in the suit, or is he a robot? There is one place Sigma didn't look. Yeah, the garden. In my head, anyway. Oh, that was a clover end. Cool. I wonder why it's clover end. Anyway, let's finish out this by doing betray. It's probably gonna be another short one. That's right. She told us her backstory. Very good point, Incism. Clover ends are all about piles of corpses. Could it be piles of bodies, and then we could just associate that with like an orgy versus people being dead? You know, positive spin on something that's negative. Okay. Work with me here. I'm looking